You just downloaded the game, you're lost, you're new, there's tons of icons, and you stumbled across my channel. Things may seem all dark and grim, but don't worry, we're going to be doing a beginner's guide to help you guys to the best of my capabilities today, seeing that I've been actually on global since day one, as well as the other servers since day one, to try and help you guys out the best of my possibility. Now, this is the end of the year beginner's guide. We will be doing another one in 2026, so don't worry about that as well, just in case you need a new refresher. But inside this beginner's guide, we're going to cover everything that you might have some questions about, as well as what you really should do. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Before we continue with the video, be sure to support my channel by clicking the link in the description and starting a new Raid Shadow Legends account. You'll also get $200 worth of free goodies, a legendary champion, as well as 4 awesome epics as you level up. Make sure to use the code Desert Queen as well to get another legendary if you want to, and this helps out not only just me but the channel a lot, so be sure to click that link and join me in Raid now. Alright, so you're new and you gotta remember, of course, how the game does work. Got slammed into a bunch of tutorials that honestly don't teach you about everything inside this game. But the one thing you do know, you're in something that's called Persona and you're fighting other things that are around you. Well, you're going to be introduced with a lot of icons and a lot of different things that you need to go ahead and pay attention to. And the first thing that a lot of you guys are going to be introduced to is this lovely thing at the top right. This is going to be the quest bar, and this is where you really want to pay attention at the beginning of the game. This quest bar is going to keep you on track for side missions as well as main missions when it does come down to what characters or what different things you need to do story wise. And in a story related game like this, it's probably the most important section. Now granted, with this in mind, as you're going through the story, you're going to be presented with a different menu, which is going to be the metaverse menu at the bottom right. This metaverse menu is usually going to take you to something like this, where you're probably going to see a ton of question marks at first, but this is going to be highlighted at the top. What you need to know is whenever you are doing this, you're going to end up going to one of the palaces here, which is going to be the first one at the very top, and you really want to just complete it. Now once you enter that said palace, you will end up having to do a ton of tutorials, which don't worry, I think that one's very easy for you guys to do. Just understand it can get a little bit wonky in the future. Palaces are pretty straightforward. They're like miniature dungeons if you guys play any of the games, and all you need to know is there's going to be little mobs in there, there's going to be bosses, there's going to be treasure, and all of it is going to help you inside this game. But before you sometimes even get into the palace, you might be introduced into this little area here, which is called Mementos. Mementos itself is a interesting little area, but it is one that you guys really will go ahead and do quite often. The reason why I say this is because Mementos has several different levels, and by going through these said things, you're eventually going to reach a roadblock that looks something similar to this and will be guarded by story. But by going through it, of course, there's going to be several different little items, chests, and bosses, as well as mini mobs in here that you can get a lot of stuff from and continue on through the game. This is kind of like a little mini game if you think of it this way, where you're really just going to be riding inside the car, taking down a bunch of shadows and getting you a lot of goodies. Something that you do alongside the story side of things, so I guess you can consider it as story gameplay. Essentially, when it does come down to the story side, you always pay attention to the mission at the top right and try to take down what you can. If you end up getting the roadblock, that's where this next part is going to come into handy. So since we talked about the story aspects, we're going to be down to this character right here being Mont. This is one of the few 4 stars that you get at the very beginning of the game, and it's going to lead us to our next subject, which is summoning. A lot of people are kind of new to summoning, especially in this game, and it doesn't work the same way as most games do. So to find the summoning tab, when you're back in the overworld, obviously there's going to be an icon called the contracts icon here. By clicking this set icon, you're going to be introduced with a plethora of different banners, and a ton of them you're going to want to summon on. The good part about this, you don't really be binded to summoning on certain things, especially when it does come down to this game. You can pull on whoever you want and have a blast. Unless you're really going for like top 100, there's no real need to go for meta, so keep that in mind and just try to pull who you like. But one of the things about this game is there's several different banner typing. If you guys can see to the left side, we have the targeted side and the chance side. Chance is a banner of the limited type, of course. Here, as you can see limited up, see the actual limited banners here, but chance is a 50-50 version of this banner, which pretty much means if I can get a 5-star in between this 80 pity, which does guarantee me a 5-star at that point, But if I can get me a 5-star in this 80 pity, I have a chance of it being the actual banner character, right now being Haru, or a chance of it being a standard 5-star character. If I end up losing my pity, it now turns into a guaranteed banner to where the next 5-star I get no matter what is Haru. But it comes at the cost of you have a potential chance of losing. This has a higher pull rate or a higher contract rate when it does come down to getting a limited 5-star or at least 5 stars dropping, but it does come at a chance of a 50-50. As for the other one here, which is the targeted banner, it's the same banner itself, but essentially with a higher pity. With the higher pity being 110, the good part about it is the character is guaranteed. So if you get a 5-star anywhere in between that 110 pity, it is guaranteed to be this banner 5-star. If you manage to go to the 110, no matter what, there's no losing the 50-50. It is always guaranteed to being this 5-star. The only downside is the pity, or at least the pull rate, is a little bit lower than the actual 50-50 chance here, but I think I would accept that pull rate rather than just going off a 50-50 basis. Of course, if you're feeling lucky enough, you can do the 50-50, but even the 110 has an extra incentive. On the 110 here, you have this thing called extra rewards, and if you pull 165 times, you're not only getting the 110 5-star, but you're going to get a random 5-star that's in here as well. So it could come in handy depending on if you're pulling on this banner. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about is going to be the weapon banners. The weapon banners here are very interesting. They're 50-50, they're not guaranteed like Wua, which I kind of wish did exist here. But the thing about them is you can choose what weapons you really want to lose to. If you can see right here on the sidelines where you have, of course, the the main limited weapon in the first slot, but on the second and third slots, we can have any weapon we do choose. So instead of going for Morgana and Riddle's weapon, I can go for maybe Cattle and Closer's weapon, set them on up, and if I end up losing my 50-50, I most likely will lose it to these characters. The good part about this banner is instead of the 1,500 that we use for the limit banners being our pull route, we actually only have to use 1,000 per pull for this banner. The good part about this as well is instead of it being 80 pulls for pity, it's also 70, so it's a little bit cheaper on your pockets and it's help you get the weapon a little bit quicker. Now, the last thing that we're going to go ahead and go over is the standard banner. Now, if you're new to the game, there's going to be another little icon as well down here that will be for 8 golden tickets. You do want to do that one. It does help you get a 5-star very quickly, but after you finish that, you're going to have this banner right here. Usually there's going to be a 300 bar, and that's if you do 300 pulls, you can pick a character of your choosing out of this standard banner, which seems all awesome. Standard banner is going to help you get a lot of 4 stars as well as 5 stars, but the only downside is the newer 5 stars who were standards on TW and KR aren't going to be the same on global. So it will take them a long time to get into the standard banner. So either you can choose to save up for gold tickets until they eventually come in here, or you can choose to go ahead and use them much like I did and just get as much stuff as you possibly can. Honestly, the choice is yours. But this is going to lead us to our last topic about banners, and that's the banner exchange shop. Pretty much whenever you do your pulls here, you'll get some of these type of shards, whether it's the clear Cogni gem or being the violet Cogni gem. These things are going to help you out a lot, seeing that you can exchange them for more meta jewels or actually go ahead and exchange them for different materials. Whether it depends on whatever you want to get out of here, it's honestly up to you, which I will have a priority list depending on the video later down the line to show you guys what I say is pretty much worth getting out of these here. So look forward to that video. But do know, bring your things pretty wisely. When it does come down to the prisms here, I would advise you going for the meta gems and then maybe the secret keys if you want to keep up on some event. But now we went over the banners, let's go ahead and go to our next subject. So on a daily basis, what do you do inside of P5X? Other than, of course, story stuff, you're always going to be around the town here. There's going to be a ton of things that you possibly could do, just don't know the order. Well, the first thing I would say when it does come down to your daily thing to do is going to be your goals. Your goals are pretty much your dailies in general, and by doing this, you'll be able to get, of course, 20 gems off of each one of your missions and get a decent bit of EXP. Don't be like me where I kind of end up forgetting doing it sometimes. Knock this out pretty early in your day. The reason for this is because it's honestly not that hard. By going ahead and doing this here, you can complete a couple things. One of them just completed by logging into the game. Another is done by just using some stamina. Another one is done by using action points, which are these city little points at the bottom here, We'll get to talking about this in a second. And then another one can either be from like using personas and things of that. These are all things that are pretty easy to go ahead and do, and it's going to be something that you want to do immediately in your city life. Getting these done immediately will help you out with not only leveling, but get you a lot of goodies, so surely do that as well. But this leads us to our next topic, the city life itself. Now, city life is one of the main things that you do want to go ahead and focus on here, mainly because you need to increase your social stats. By getting up different social stats, if you are new to Persona, you have these people you can end up meeting and building a relationship with. They all of a sudden can also give you tons of gems, they can give you frames, they can give you money, and also give you some lovely other stats that can be very helpful for your character. So by getting your social stats up by doing these said activities, it'll help you get up your stats with certain characters that you may meet along the way, which is always a great thing to do. But one key part about this here is with these said stats, you can unlock different activities as well. And at different times, you may need to get some cash in your pocket if you do want to do some overworld type grinding. Currently, I'm a little bit low, being around 400k, but honestly, it just comes down to whatever you want to do. But at all costs, don't let this highly overcap. I'm currently 20 out of 20, so I need to go ahead and use some of these before the actual daily does reset, because every day you're getting 5 extra hourglasses. So try to use them when you can, build up your social stats, and slowly get to everything that you want to get to. But we're going to go over the next thing that you can go ahead and pay attention to, which I talked about briefly, which was the people you can meet. Inside of this little tab, being the synergy tab, this is your confidants. Essentially what these are is by doing certain side quests at the top right, you'll be tasked with meeting a certain person. After you meet this person, you build a relationship with them, and essentially you're going to need to meet them throughout the city and do certain tasks with them, as well as hang out with them. And by giving them different items and hanging out with them, you can get yourself a ton of different rewards. This confidant system has been in Persona for a very long time, but anyone who's new to it, of course, you want to go ahead and meet these characters as fast as possible, talk to them, and get a ton of gems. Now on my global account, I'm very sluggish on doing this at times. I try to meet them when I want to get some extra gems out, but to be honest, you want to get these done as much as possible because they have a lot of gems, a lot of different little bonuses here, and they all can help you buy a ton. So definitely try to get these all done here and pretty much just focus on them a lot. But now we talked about these guys, let's get more into the team building side of this game. So when you're entering a battle, of course, or even just building your party overall, there's a few things that you want to know, and that's really just how your team does work. Essentially how your team is going to look is 4 blank slots, of course, and just Wonder. Wonder is the main character, so you can't replace the dude, but the cool thing about him is he can have up to 3 personas that can help him into battle. Depending on your team as well, he has a plethora of different daggers, but we'll explain that in a different guide as well, mainly to make sure we're not overloading you guys too much on information. There's no Wonder is a jack of all trades here with 3 different slots that he can pretty much use in battle that can help you out. Whether you want to be a DPS, a support, a defender, or even a debuffer, this man can do it all. It just depends on the personas that you have him equipped it with. But what about the rest of his slots here? Well, inside of a team, you're always going to have 1 navigator, which is always going to be a different character who's off the field. This off the field character is going to act more of a extra buffer or debuffer that can be activated based on turn. While your 3 main characters are going to be your core teammates here. One of your core teammates, no matter what ends up happening, is going to be a DPSer. And the main thing that you guys want to know is whenever you're choosing this, try to only make 1 DPS in the team. How you know they're a DPS is if they're this icon here, which actually means a AoE DPS. And how you know if they're a DPS as well is this icon right here being a dagger. If there are any of these 2 icons, that immediately means you have a single target DPS being the dagger and an AoE DPS, which I'm just going to call a thorny crown or 3 daggers kind of tied together. By doing this here, you're able to, of course, build your team around it, and having only 1 of these in the team is very essential because then you're able to at least build a team around them and try to make them as powerful as possible. Now for team comps that you do need to know, either way is a little bit confusing, but it honestly just depends on your main DPS. But essentially try to have them always with these type of roles. It could be easily a supporter, which is going to have this role down here, or it can be most likely a defender. There's not many times where you need to use the guys, but hey, they still come in handy. There's going to be healers, which can obviously be alongside your DPS. There's also going to be debuffers, which are obviously going to be alongside your DPS. All these things you want to go ahead and keep in mind, especially when it does come down to a team, because as long as you have those roles beside your DPS, you should be able to be successful even in the most generic of content. Just understand, each one of these roles will have their own specific things, so you might need to read the character a little bit to understand how they really do work with parties. The best way to explain this here is every team is usually going to have a DPS, a buffer, and a debuffer. And if it's not this way, it's going to be a DPS, a buffer, and another buffer sometimes. I want to say defender and healers are kind of the one gray area where sometimes we use them, sometimes we don't. It honestly just depends on the character. But overall, that's kind of how we look at it. And then of course you have your lovely navigator, which you'll be able to choose from. If you want a really good start, especially for 4-star navigators as well, I would suggest trying to get Rico. She's going to be very, very helpful with getting through all the story here. So if you're able to get her, it's obviously going to be a great time. But nothing's wrong with these two 4-stars as well. If anything, Puppet can help you out as well, seeing that she has a lot of sustainability. So build your team accordingly to how you need it to be. Now we talked about a little bit of this. Let's go to our next subject. So our next subject is going to be events and game modes. Inside this game, you're going to have a couple different things that you're going to want to do, and one of those main things is going to be the event. Well, at the top of your screen, you have a little hat here that's going to show you all the event tabs, and usually it's going to be showing you this screen first, especially if you're new to the game. Well, don't worry. What you really want to focus on when you're new is kind of just leveling up anyways. So this event is going to be something that you're going to see at least until you're level 45. And then obviously we have some other events such as the Thieves Exchange, your login daily, and the Crossroads of Fate. You want to try to complete these as much as possible because the Crossroads of Fates are technically the OG story of P5. If you're going ahead and going through this, it sometimes is a little bit of a snooze fest here, but it does get you a lot of rewards. By completing this, you're going to go along the entire story of P5 itself, which we have all the way up to Futaba, currently going into Haru. Now Haru is our newest one here, and so if you really want to find that type of event, you end up clicking these double arrows. Oops, I accidentally clicked out here. But you end up clicking these double arrows at the bottom left here, and by doing so you'll see the actual events of the game. In this here is going to be where you want to really try to focus a lot, because you can get a lot of things from here, whether it's the spin to win raffles where you need to do certain daily tasks, and by doing them you get these raffle tickets and get yourself a ton of event little goodies right here, or whether it's the Crossroads of Fate here for Haru and you really want to just complete this to get as much materials and possible things that you can get. All of this stuff is going to be events, and some of them are timed, some of them actually last a lot longer. So slowly go through this, but don't make it your absolute mission that if you can't really do it at the point in time, don't bang your head at a wall and just try to get through it. I think you guys are going to be pretty fine if you just go ahead and do it at your own pace, so don't worry about it too much. But then we have the game mode side. Once again, this is going to take us to the metaverse, which is at the bottom right of our screen here. And by doing these set game modes, you're going to be faced with a lot of things. We're already acquainted with our palace and our obvious mementos area, but we have a few other places that you guys really want to pay attention to. One of them is the realm of repression, and this is where you're going to use all your stamina. Don't be like me who's overcapped 24/7. Usually you want to try and use this immediately the second you overcap here, and this can be on anything you want. As you're new, the one thing I do have to say is try to focus a lot on your personas. Get these inside of your persona index, and we'll talk more about them later down the line. Then of course you have cards and other training materials, so try to use your stamina wisely. As for the other events here, you end up having different things such as Gate of Nightmare, which will be for guilds, technically guild boss. We have Metro of Desire. Think of this as something like a roguelike game mode, though it's a little bit boring, but it does give you a lot of rewards. Thief Secret, which you need these keys for. If you do have these said keys, you'll be able to go ahead and go through them. I'm missing a couple of these dudes because obviously I did not log on to do them, so I actually got to knock these guys out myself. And then of course we have the Trial of Sea of Souls. This is going to be your ranking mode, which early game you don't have to pay attention to. And then Velvet Trials. Velvet Trials is a different list of different trials that you're going to end up doing, whether it's either an elemental focus one such as like Curse Element, Wind Element, and those other things. By going ahead and doing this, you're going to get yourself a ton of gems, and it will help you out, though They are trials, so they are going to be a little bit challenging. Just keep that in mind. All these game modes are essentially going to be something you do later down the line here, so slowly get to them as you go. They are going to have their little problems with them, so don't beat yourself up about it. And this is going to lead us to our next and last section, and this is going to be the Velvet. So the Velvet Room you can find on your phone here, being the literal Jack Frost that says Velvet Room. And this is where you're going to do a lot of your persona fusioning, training, and just having your indexing for personas. All these things are going to be very, very important for at least our man Wonder, because when it does come down to getting this dude up, you got to make a bunch of personas in order to get up his stats. But by getting a bunch of different materials or other personas here, you can sometimes end up using a different one that is in your level rank. If you're able to go ahead and fuse them, you will go through a different little animation where you throw two personas together. They pretty much get washing machine type style and immediately fuse into a different persona. These personas you're then able to access in your persona training area, which you're gonna have Yanosek at the beginning. My best thing to say immediately to a lot of you guys is get up Yanosek. He's absolutely gonna be amazing, and he is a very good persona for Wonder himself. By fusing these guys, you're able to use them, level them up, and then teach them skills. I could delve a little bit further with this, but that's where things get a little bit confusing, especially for personas, seeing that they can inherit skills from other ones, and that's a whole different video as itself. So we'll get more into that later down the line. Then of course, with every persona that you end up making, you technically use them as a Pokédex, which is in this thing called a persona compendium. By making them at least once here, they go in this little compendium, and this allows you to actually see how many you have in here. This also happens whenever you make a new character. There'll be a little light bulb right here at the bottom right that you want to go ahead and click, because then this goes for Wonder's actual stats, which I guess we can talk about inside of this same section, seeing that we are talking about the Velvet Room itself. So once you end up building a lot of things for Wonder himself, you're going to sometimes get these things here that will allow you to just put these into Wonder for his stats. Each one of these stats are going to be very, very helpful. And by leveling up, you not only get these light bulbs, but by also going ahead and making those said personas in your compendium, you get the schema points, allowing you to upgrade your stats itself. So it's a lot of things that go hand in hand here, so be sure to not neglect your personas. They are going to come in handy quite often, but they also judge how Wonder does work, so keep that in mind. Before we continue with the video, be sure to support my channel by clicking the link in the description and starting a new Raid Shadow Legends account. You'll also get $200 worth of free goodies, a legendary champion, as well as 4 awesome epics as you level up. Make sure to use the code Desert Queen as well to get another legendary if you want to, and this helps out not only just me but the channel a lot, so be sure to click that link and join me in Raid now.